This episode is sponsored by Alcor. Global hiring for engineering teams can be a nightmare. Too many providers, hidden fees, slow support, and local rules that don't make sense. Alcor is a different kind of EOR partner. They're built for tech companies scaling across borders with deep expertise in Eastern Europe and Latin America. Alcor combines employer of record services with tech recruiting, helping you choose the right country, find and assess engineers, and onboard them in days, not months. Nearly 85% of what you pay goes straight to your engineers. Alcor's fee decreases as your team grows, and you can always bring the team in-house with zero exit fee. That's why Silicon Valley startups, including 5 unicorns, work with Alcor. Learn more at alcor.com/podcast or tap the link in the show notes. This episode is sponsored by EquityBee. Stock options can be valuable, but exercising them often means taking on real financial risk, putting tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket with uncertainty around the outcome makes exercising a difficult decision for many startup employees. And that's where EquityBee comes in. EquityBee helps you exercise your options without using your own capital. No out-of-pocket costs. They provide non-recourse funding to cover exercise costs and taxes. There's no repayment unless the company has an exit. With EquityBee, you don't leave your equity behind. Go to codestory.co/EquityBee to learn more. See terms and conditions in the sponsors section of the episode page. That's codestory.co/EquityBee. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. AI code generation is moving fast, but quality and confidence, well, they haven't kept pace. The core problem is shared context. Unblocked was built to solve this specific problem. The code review platform is built on the same context senior engineers rely on when reviewing code. The result is fewer comments, higher signal, and reviews teams actually trust. Get a free 3-week trial at getunblocked.com/codestory. That's getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain for your startup today.
I mentioned this company, a big company called Luxoft with 15,000 engineers in it. And while I was there, something to me was missing. At least I thought so. They provide access to brilliant engineers, but the pricing about it was foggy. Essentially, they hide salaries of people, right? And when you pay like $100 to this provider, this sort of providers, only $50 go to your people as their salary. And I thought that maybe we can do pretty much the same, but on a fully transparent cost-plus basis. And we did that. My name is Dmytro Ovcharenko, and I'm founder and CEO at Alcor company.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
took
next.
many goes to get right.
who built the teams that have their
Our
back,
company is its
The
people.
teams help each other achieve
Most
more.
proud of our team.
keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was a
Yes,
pain.
we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time.
The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want
It's
it.
not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story.
I'm your host, Noah Labhart, and today how Dmytro Ovcharenko is offering you a disruptive alternative to tech outsourcing and the employer of record. Dmytro Ovcharenko lives in Palo Alto, California. He graduated from Berkeley in 2015, not as an engineer, but as a lawyer. His first connection to tech was in his first role as an attorney at a tech company. But outside of technology, he loves good sushi and burgers. In addition, he does a bit of hiking, some for fun, but also some for business. He's been known to take a meeting or two on the hiking trail. Dmytro very much enjoyed working at his prior company, but he noticed the large gap between what his business was charging and what the engineers themselves received. He thought he could close this gap to provide a better wage for the workers while saving businesses money. This is a creation story of Alcor.
I mentioned this company, a big company called Luxoft with 15,000 engineers in it. And this was my job before Alcor, actually. And while I was there, the company was great, and I enjoyed a lot working there. Something to me was missing, at least I thought so. They provide access to brilliant engineers, but the pricing about it was foggy. Maybe you've heard about those rate cards or, time and material kind of approach. So essentially, they hide salaries of people, right? And when you pay like $100 to this provider, this sort of providers, so you only $50 go to your people as their salary. And I thought that maybe we can do pretty much the same, but on a fully transparent cost-plus basis. And we did that. So now when you pay $100 to Alcor, so $85 go to your people as salary. So it's 3 times more cost-efficient approach. So while working at Luxoft, as I mentioned, so I came up with that idea to create something on a fully transparent basis. And I invited 2 my ex-colleagues at Luxoft. So it was like just 3 of us at the very beginning. And so we've got just 1 US client at that moment. But again, we ended up hiring for that client, Silicon Valley caliber of a talent in Ukraine, and for very decent pricing comparing to the US one, right? And the client was happy. And we realized, okay, probably we should start from there and grow.
So let's dive into that starting point. And maybe it's right there, or maybe it's after, but I'm curious about what you would consider the MVP for Alcor, right? As I talk about MVPs a lot on this show, and I realize that this is about the workers and the actual engineers themselves, and that's the business you're building. But I'm curious about what that MVP might be for Alcor and how long it took you to bring it to life and what you were using to do so.
We can think of MVP of Alcor when we landed the very first unicorn client. And we hired for them like 50 engineers in Ukraine. Within just the first year, it was amazing. So after that, we realized that, oh my God, it works. And we can really help US companies to navigate the brand new locations out there and really jump from 0 to 50 within just very short period of time. So after that, I realized that we are ready to scale.
So in that time frame, though, before you were ready to scale, tell me about a decision or a trade-off you had to make and how you approached what you were offering with Alcor. And that could be around, how you approached the problem, how you organized your team, really all the things. I'm curious about those decisions and trade-offs you had to make and how you coped with them.
So this is essentially 2 blocks. So the first one, it's what we propose to a client. It's 2 services. First of all, it's recruiting, right? So you gotta identify those, let's say, top 10% in the market of the best talent possible. Second service is EOR, meaning that the client doesn't need to register their own legal entity and hire people themselves. So we can do that for them in the first year. So we can employ and handle all the operational stuff. But other than that, this is just a value proposal to our client. It was a challenge for me to really recruit the first team members to my company, right? And honestly, I had a big ego at that time, if I can put it that way. So I had that belief that I could hire literally anybody and train them to do what is expected. And that's simple. But in reality, over the years, I realized one thing, which is I developed a rule for myself. So to make it real simple, so in every industry, in every company, in every department, there are always 20% of people over versus the remaining 80% who really deliver 80% of results. And so this is my advice for earlier version of myself and for everybody else here listening to me. It's you got to put some effort into identifying those 20% and into attracting them to your company. So if you're successful with that, you pretty much will be successful with the whole product.
This episode is sponsored by Alcor. Global hiring for engineering teams can be a nightmare. Too many providers, hidden fees, slow support, and local rules that don't make sense. Alcor is a different kind of EOR partner. They're built for tech companies scaling across borders with deep expertise in Eastern Europe and Latin America. Alcor combines employer of record services with tech recruiting, helping you choose the right country, find and assess engineers, and onboard them in days, not months. Nearly 85% of what you pay goes straight to your engineers. Alcor's fee decreases as your team grows, and you can always bring the team in-house with zero exit fee. That's why Silicon Valley startups, including 5 unicorns, work with Alcor. Learn more at alcor.com/podcast or tap the link in the show notes. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain. So then, moving forward, so you got to the point where you were ready to scale. Tell me about how you progressed and matured Alcor. And I'm curious about, maybe to liken it to how you built your company roadmap. Like how you went about deciding that this is the next most important thing to do or to address for Alcor.
So we realized after having a handful of clients by that moment that even though we have this EOR proposal, meaning we have legal entity and we can employ those people, take care of payroll, benefits and everything, but this is not the key challenge, not the key pain point by our clients. So the main point is how to find the Silicon Valley caliber of talent abroad. And we invested a lot into building great recruiting team. Now we have 40 in-house tech recruiters. And so let me put you a story, an example. So one of our clients, it's a technology startup from Seattle. So they decided to hire in Romania. And they hired a couple local agencies to do that. But after 4 months of attempting to hire anybody, so they ended up with zero, like nobody, no hires at all. Then Alcor was referred to them, and we were lucky to close the first position with the very first CV. It's not always like that, but based on this year's stats, we need to send just 8 CVs to get one accepted offer. So this is, I think, the main differentiator of Alcor, so our recruiting workforce compared to competitors.
I'm curious about how you go about selecting your team, right? You've got not only the engineers themselves and the talent themselves, but also your team internally. How do you choose them, and what do you look for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you?
So you remember that rule I mentioned, right? My philosophy of 20% of top performers. And during interviews, so we go beyond just technical expertise. So we essentially look for evidence that a candidate consistently perform in the top 20%. For example, so it could be participation in sports team in high school or college or whatever. And not just being a part of that team, but being among the top performers of that team, 20%. And we apply the same lens to other areas like academics, previous companies, side projects, whatever. But the goal is to understand really whether the high performance is something like a repeatable pattern, not just one-off results. So if the answer is yes to that question, so I think that this is a great ground to hire this person and add it to existing engineering team of our client.
This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. There's a good chance you've already tried a few AI code review tools, and you're probably ignoring most of their comments. Not because AI can't review code, but because it's missing context. Most AI reviewers focus on surface-level issues, style nits, obvious refactors, or restating what's already clear from the diff. Meanwhile, the things you actually care about, like whether a change violates an earlier architectural decision or quietly duplicates existing logic, go unnoticed. That's the problem Unblocked is built to solve. Unblocked's AI code review is grounded in decision-grade context, prior PRs, design discussions, documentation, and system-level constraints, the same context senior engineers rely on when reviewing code. Teams using Unblocked report fewer comments, higher signal, and automated reviews they actually trust, enough that many have turned off other review tools entirely. Even if you've already written off AI code review, Unblocked is worth a look. Get a free 3-week trial at getunblocked.com/codestory. That's getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. So, as you step out on the balcony, you look across all that you've built, with Alcor in particular. What are you most proud of?
It's like a two-sided sword. At the one time, on the one hand, I'm proud about it. On the other, it's an area for improvement. What I'm saying, we never fundraised, never. Totally organic growth. Now we have 600 engineers working for 20 US technology businesses, mostly in Silicon Valley, but not just here. Seattle, New York, Philadelphia, LA, Texas, a lot of them. I'm really proud about it. It's very hard, but we have this feeling of standing on the ground. On the other hand, we have one of huge competitors of ours as a deal. It's a big and fancy EOR platform. Maybe you've heard about it. They started 2 years after us, like 2 years. So we had an advantage. But because of aggressive fundraising, now they're like a multi-billion company. Anyway, I think Alcor still has its niche. Deal is an industry-agnostic company. They serve every industry, every company out there. Alcor is technology-focused. So we think of Alcor now like the second or next generation of EOR businesses. And of that ground, we are now, I think, we'll seek for investments as well.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
The biggest mistake was about hiring not the right people, and I mentioned that already, right? So the biggest problem is really to identify those 20% of top performers. And once you address that, you're really in a safe harbor doing business to succeed. So we implemented some specific procedures and processes in our HR department about how we really identifying those 20% based on what? Based on what achievement? And it's beyond just technical expertise that I mentioned. And we're pretty successful by focusing on those who can deliver more than on average.
Okay, this will be fun. Let's move forward then. Tell me what the future looks like for Alcor, for what you offer for your team, and if there's anything you're building to help you with this process on the inside or processes you follow. Tell me about all the things.
So first of all, I want to give an advice for CDOs. So the distributed teams, it's not an option to my greatest belief right now. It's like you got to do it if you want to succeed. What I'm saying, in many American students, they are not very excited about math or engineering, right? But abroad, there is an incredible number of strong engineers. So not just with strong technical expertise, they're eager, they're hungry to prove themselves and to help your company. What I'm saying, so you gotta take an advantage of this opportunity if you want to succeed. And I've read a lot of reports recently from big and well-known research agencies. They say that 65% of US companies thinking about LATAM, for example, and 50% thinking about Eastern Europe. So this is the future for us. We have 4 locations now in Europe, which is Romania, Poland, Ukraine, and Bulgaria. We're thinking about Spain and Portugal to add on that list. And also we're having Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, and Chile, and we're thinking about Brazil on that list. But there's 2 big regions, LATAM and Eastern Europe, and the next big move, it's about Asia. So we're thinking maybe not this year, but next year about China, India, and maybe Philippines.
Dmytro, let's switch to you. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
It's maybe not a person, but it's rather a book. It's called One Thing. Essentially, it influenced me the most. I realized that in every person's life, it's always one person who had the greatest impact on you. If it's a business, it's usually just one line of product that actually drives the 80% of profit. And so in every environment, in every settings, it's always one thing. And the art of being successful is just to identify that one thing. So for me, it was this book. And as you can see, from hiring to strategy, I'm always thinking about, okay, so what is the one thing here can really deliver 80% of results?
Okay, Dmytro, last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing or went out and solved the next big problem. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world. And can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
I would give an advice about engineering because I'm an expert in this field. Many startups at the very beginning, they think about using some outsourcing providers. I wouldn't recommend that, honestly. So why? Because to put things straight, outsourcing people is the same like leasing them, right? They're leasing the resource. Instead, the earlier they look into long-term hiring and building their own engineering teams, the more chances and the more probabilities they will succeed. Because own teams, meaning the own intellectual property, own culture, own policies, or own rules, and you can get even some extra capitalization value out of it. Yeah, so this is my advice, not outsourcing, but rather building your own engineering teams. And Alcor can greatly support it.
I think that's fantastic advice. Well, Dmytro, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of Alcor.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Noah. Nice to meet you.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.